It's really interesting that we're talking about this stuff because I believe that God gave us the ultimate formula for success in the very first chapter in the Bible, the very first time he talked to a human, which is kind of mind-blowingly amazing. It's almost like he gave us a wink and said, if you don't get to chapter 2, you're going to be okay, right? And so it says in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, right? I'm thinking, well, why would he do that? Like, God doesn't need anything, so why would he, like, why even bother, right? You don't need a heaven. You don't need an earth. You don't need a bunch of people doing a bunch of wonky stuff. So why would God create a heaven and the earth? And the only answer I've been able to discover is because he is creative, and therefore it is his nature to create.
Yeah.
Right? So God created everything as an expression of his creativity.
Yeah.
Cool. So the very first thing that God tells us about God is that he's creative.
Yeah.
The first thing he tells us about us is that he created us in his image, which means he created us to create stuff and he made us to make stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing God tells us about man. Well, the first thing he says to a human was in Genesis 1:27-28, where it says, and God blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful and do multiply, do replenish, do subdue, and have dominion. So the first command is a fivefold command. Be, do, have. That's the command. That's the success formula. Be, do, have, which means don't be, can't do, can't have. Be a little, do a little, have a little. Be a lot, do a lot, have a lot. But what most people do, and what's fascinating even about that is the way that he made us. He put inside of us a very insatiable desire to have more, better experiences in this thing called life. Like your desire to be the best is a God-given desire. Your desire, everybody's desire to take a great vacation, to live in a decent house, to wear nice clothes and drive nice cars and have good relationships, those are all God-given desires. God gave us the desire to have so that we would yield to the willingness to do the thing that earns us the right to have it. Our desire to have without the willingness to do is what creates criminals. Like human beings' desire to have without a willingness to do is what creates criminals.
Yeah.
It's what creates wrongdoing towards people. I want to have what they have, but I don't want to do the right thing to get it.
I don't want to earn it.
Right.
Yeah.
However, even people, like when people decide to change their life, that's why they start, okay, I'm finally willing to do the thing that earns me the right to have the stuff, right?
Yeah.
But they don't realize that just like doing is the seed capital for having, being is the seed capital for doing.
Being is the seed capital
for doing. So being is the genesis. It's what doing springs out of.
Yes.
Right? So we have to focus on the becoming. God is most concerned with us becoming more.
Sanctification.
More what? More like him.
Yeah.
Right? We are concerned with having more. But when we realize and wake up and realize the best way for us to have more is to yield to becoming more, which will automatically make us do more, which will automatically cause us to have more.
Yeah, and this is my whole point when people I'm just like, well, you just need Jesus. Like if you accept Jesus, the next step is you're going to become more like Jesus and all of these
If you're yielded.
Yeah.
But if you resist, then you're not going to become more like Jesus. Because a lot of people receive Christ, but then they have this internal resistance because they want to hold on to the past as they walk into the future.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
You got to die to your old self.
Yes.
Yeah, and it reminds me too of what you're saying of like, do a little, have a little.
Right.
And it's the whole concept of
but be a little, do a little. Exactly. And so if you think about be, do, have, being addresses my identity. Mm-hmm. Doing addresses my activity. Having addresses my property.
So it starts with identity. Mm-hmm. Taking identity causes you to take action, and then you
action
have fruit.
Produces property.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when you think about it, even when Moses asked God, God says to Moses, hey, march into Pharaoh's office, tell him I said, let my people go. Moses asked a question. He says, who shall I say has sent thee? Now, when I first started reading that, I'm thinking, this is the worst question in the history of the world. Surely he can come up with a better question than that, right? In my youth, I'm like so delusional. I'm thinking, bro, I would not ask that question. Like if it were me, Moses, I know you're Moses and everything, and I'm just me, but the question I would ask, what can I tell Pharaoh you said you're going to do if he says no? That would be the question I ask, right? But Moses understands that authority is always an identity issue, right? And so he said, who shall I say has sent you? The answer made less sense than the question to me for decades. Tell him that the I am, that I am, has sent you.
That's part of just the being.
That's right. So God's identity is the ultimate identity. He is the I am, that I am. In fact, even if I am an atheist, I can't tell you who I am without first telling you who he is, because I have to say I am an atheist. So I told you his name before I gave you my identity.
Oh, they ain't gonna like that.
Right? And so God is the ultimate identity.
Yeah.
And that's why when I yield to him and I just trust that I am who he says I am, that's when I know who I am. If I think I am, most people go through life with what I call a lie-dentity. Well, what's a lie-dentity? It's all the things, all the people around you your whole life told you you are not. You're not tall enough, you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, you're not athletic enough, you don't work hard enough, you're not smart enough, you're not enough. Who you are is not enough. That is a lie-dentity. And it's one of the things that the enemy uses to keep you from tapping into your potential. And what most people do is they attempt to replace the lie-dentity with what I call a my-dentity. And that's another fake identity that we create to make people think we're more than they made us think we are not. And it's not until I yield to the ultimate identity and trust that I am exactly, no more and no less than exactly who he says I am.
Right.
And when I walk, excuse me.
You got the water there too.
I gotta take a breath here. I don't think drinking will help, but I inhaled some saliva because I got a little excited while I was talking. So when we realize that we are who he says we are and nobody else, we start operating in that. That's when we can produce fruit that nobody else can produce. That's when we can be at peace. We can stop thinking we have competition. We can stop vying for position.
Yeah.
Because if something's for me, no one can keep it from me.
Yeah.
And if it's not, no one can get it to me. And if they could, I wouldn't want it anyway.
Yeah. As you're saying this, it's making me just think about like even this identity and being the best. And I want to be clear, like it's not even about like, oh, I'm better than this person.
Right.
It's
exactly. I want to be the best version of myself.
Exactly.
Like I want to operate. I want in my existence, in my experience of life, I desire operational excellence.
Yes.
In everything that I do.
Yep.
And if it's not excellent, then I'm not capitalizing on, I'm not maxing out my potential.
Yes.
Yeah. So being the best is not competitive. I'm not competing with other people. Somebody just asked me a question at the event. They said, Myron, I have a question for you. Why don't you do free plus shipping book funnels? Like, because we were at Funnel Hacking Lab, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you do free plus shipping book funnels? Why don't you give your book away for free and then, do all the upsells and stuff? My answer was because it doesn't match my brand. Like, I don't want to copy somebody else's tactic that works well for them, but it's not a mismatch of their brand. But me attempting to do what they're doing would be a mismatch of my brand. And now I'm confusing my audience.
Right.
And there's no need to do that just to make some money. So
let's talk about that. So obviously we're talking about identity, and I mean, that affects every aspect of your life, really.
100.
How you treat your wife, how you raise your kids,
100.
all those things. But I mean, obviously you're here right now for Funnel Hacking Live with Russell, and he's been here, and there's a lot of people probably asking you, Myron, how do I make better offers? How do I sell more? So walk me through like your framework for making great offers and how you think about it.
Yeah. I think ultimately, like when I think about like even the name of your podcast, Wealthy Way, like most people erroneously think that money is wealth, right?
Yep.
Money is not wealth. Money is one of the results of creating wealth. So then what is wealth? Wealth is my ability to produce a result for someone other than myself, or for a whole lot of other someones other than myself. So the best way to create an offer is to obsess over the problems of a large group of people with a big problem and deep pockets who are willing to spend some of that money in those deep pockets to solve that problem, right? So how do you create the offer? You create the offer by obsessing over their problem and figuring out an elegant, efficient, effective solution for them. And then they will pay you whatever it costs to solve that problem. If you can prove to people that you've obsessed over their problem more than they can't stop paying attention to you.
Yeah, because you have the answer.
Right.
Yeah. And so one part you said about that, though, was going after people with deep pockets. So do you not think that selling to, I guess, the masses is wise?
Well, it depends on what your objective is.
Right.
So I think that if you solve a problem for people with deep pockets just means deep enough to solve that problem. Right?
Enough money to solve the problem you're solving.
Exactly.
Right.
So for some people, their deep pocket might not even be money. It might just be enough care and concern to watch a YouTube video that answers that question. Right? So, but they're not paying with their money, but they're paying with something that's more important than their money. They're paying with their time and attention.
Yeah. And
then somebody might say, well, you know what? I really liked what he said on that video. I found out he has a book and it's only $30 and it's only $9.99 shipping and handling. I'll buy the book.
It's not free.
Right. It's not free. And so deep pockets means they've got $40 to invest in a book and shipping.
Yeah.
Right. Deep enough. The pockets only have to be deep enough to solve the problem they're seeking to solve where they are right now.
Got it.
So you can have something for different segments of, like we sell a $20 book that I wrote in 2006 or a $30 book that I wrote in 2021, but we also have $1 million a year coaching program. Right.
Yeah.
And so the person who buys the $20 book may or may not eventually prove to be one of those people who would like the $1 million coaching program. And either way, it's okay.
Right.
Because a part of my awareness is that nothing's missing. And when I say nothing's missing, I have nothing to hide, I have nothing to gain, I have nothing to lose, and I have nothing to prove. So now I'm free to live my life on purpose because I'm not attempting to make something happen. I'm just working on being the best version of myself and letting that produce what only that can produce.
So we're talking about the same conclusion that we're both after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.